Yeah, so do I see an end to, you said the church, the Christianity is slipping, things like gender identity, that kind of stuff. I mean, who would have thought that we reach a point where, a child is born, what is it, a boy or girl? We don't know. We have to wait till that child gets older to make a decision as to what? I mean, I never thought that we'd get here, but here we are. Here we are. See, here's the thing. I talked about being made in the image and likeness of God. What we are right now, we're in a culture that's trying to make God in its own image and likeness. That's where we are right now. Like I said, if we just sit here and allow it to happen and don't say anything and don't do anything, then it's going to continue to happen. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think it's going to get much worse. With the things they are politically in our country right now, the direction things are heading in, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we need people to stand up and say, draw the line and say, this is ridiculous. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I'm going to just be honest. We can't rely on the bishops for that. For too long, we've said, what is the bishop? Let's follow the bishop. They're still reeling from the sex abuse scandal. For a lot of people, they have no credibility. And then the perception, now this was not the reality, but the perception was when they stopped masses because of COVID, they've taken the sacraments from us. I'm not saying that's what they did, but I tell you, I talk to a lot of people. The perception is, or this is another perception I get from people. Wow, I grew up thinking Mass was really super important. That we had to be to Mass every Sunday. That was the Eucharist, the source and center of our faith. And now for over a year, they're saying, this is a dispensation, we don't have to go. I could watch Mass in my pajamas and slippers. And then when the dispensation is lifted, do you think all those people are going to come back to church? Nope. Nope. Now think about this. Before COVID, my friend, before COVID, 70% of Catholics did not believe that Jesus was present in the Eucharist. 70%. Before COVID, and I heard this from Bishop Barron himself. Like, I was at the event. I heard this from Bishop Barron himself. He said, young people mentally check out. They make the decision. I no longer consider myself a Catholic at 12 years old. This was before COVID. Before COVID, 3 out of every 5 people that join the Church of RCIA, within 5 years, they leave. That's before COVID. So what do you think is going to happen now? That all of a sudden, the church is open, they ain't going to flock back. They were trying to find excuses not to come in the first place. We just gave them one. You see what I'm saying? This is not just about the culture. We got stuff to deal with ourselves internally as a church. And this model that you have, this is like the 4th. I've only started traveling since the end of January, very spotty, but this is the 4th community I've been in with merged churches. The 4th one. And I've only been traveling since the end of January. Where you have 4, 5, 7 churches in one case that merged down to 4, merged down to 3. Seeing more and more. So we're shrinking, man. But here's the thing. Here's where my hope comes from. We're going back to the early church. In the early church, I think what God is doing, some of it right now, is pruning. Getting rid of the dead branches. Right? And we're going to just prune ourselves down, and then we're going to start to grow again. But we're going to weed out all the people who really don't want to be Catholic, who really don't care about the faith, who are just showing up punching the clock every Sunday, thought they were getting to heaven, and they're not. We're weeding, and then we're going to get down to that strong remnant, like Felicity and Perpetua, right? And we're going to start, boom, we're going to start to grow again. We're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back more faithful. We're going to come back more in love with Jesus than we have in centuries. But we're in the process right now of pruning. That's not church teaching. That's me. From what I observe and what I'm seeing, I think that's what's happening right now. We're separating the wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats. A lot of that's happening right now. And we're becoming smaller, and then boom. You know, what I think, though, and I wrote a book about this, is coming out in the fall. I wrote a book about the service ministry of deacons. And I think one of the keys to bringing the church back are deacons. The problem is this: deacons are assigned to a parish, but most of our ministry should not be in the parish. We need to be out there where all these people are. We need to, see, that's why even the Pope says Mass, a deacon reads the gospel. The gospel means evangelium, right? It means good news. Except, yes, etymologically it means good news, except when Caesar proclaimed news. Because when Caesar proclaimed news, it just wasn't good news, it was life-changing news. Why? Because news from the king could change your life. And who do we serve? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So it's not, so the encounter with Christ in the Gospels, that's not just good news, that's life-changing news. Because news from the King, our King, can truly change your life. And the deacons are the one who reads the Gospel, then kicks people out at the end, and said, I'll be in the trenches with you Monday to Saturday. But when we're in the church fighting over who gets to do what at the altar, we're losing people out here that, you know, that should be hearing the gospel. And our job, see, the priest is the shepherd. He needs to be here taking care of the sheep. The deacons, we're the sheepdogs. Okay? We need to go out and gather the people. See, what we do is we take the gospel that we proclaim, we go out and proclaim that gospel to the world, then we bring the lost sheep and we herd them back to the shepherd, back to the parish, back to reconciliation, back to the Eucharist, back to the saving power of Jesus Christ and the church that he founded. That's what we should be emphasizing most of our time doing as deacons. Think about it. The first deacon was also the proto-martyr of the church, Stephen. Stephen ain't died in no parish. Stephen died out there preaching the word of God. What about Philip? Remember the Ethiopian, he was on the cart with the Ethiopian eunuch was driving by. Philip jumps in, what you reading? I'm reading something from Isaiah, I don't understand it. So he explains the scriptures to him. He goes, I want to be baptized. So he baptizes the dude. Then he poof, Philip wasn't in no parish. Lawrence, who was roasted alive, he went in no parish when he died. I'm not saying deacons and parish are not important. I'm saying I think we've overemphasized our role here to the detriment of what our role should be out there. So I think one of the linchpins of helping to bring this culture back from a faith perspective are deacons in the church.